Welcome to the One-to-One Show. On tonight's episode, we have got the modding marvel, Mike Lane. He's also going to be helping me with some items that I'm going to be putting in the spotlight that's going to appear on a coveted wall there. And we're also going to be catching you up on the latest news. So sit back, relax, start the show. Okay, so in the workshop today, as you can see, I've got the great Mike Lane. Mike, what do you think of the studio?
That's absolutely amazing. I'm loving these chairs.
These chairs are
I feel like I'm going to fall asleep.
And I'm glad they're called chairs because, see, I normally refer to these as chairs when people put them in cars and people say, no, they're seats. But at the moment, they're chairs.
I feel like I'm on a Top Gear episode.
Well, the thing is that you are now locked in here because if you look over your left shoulder there, you've got left shoulder. So you've got a seatbelt. So we can
I'm going to strap myself in for this interview.
You can't escape. But these were no mere feat to actually get these in the studio. There was a whole thing about it. So we're going to, run VT.
It's coming together. We're going to have Maserati, 2 Ferrari. Well, oh, they look so nice, don't they? Look good.
Steering wheel there.
So there was a lot of effort that went into that, I'll tell you. But I am so happy with them.
I want this as my new office chair.
Yeah, it's all cool. Good luck. You've got to take that downstairs again.
Yeah.
Okay, Mike, first off, thank you so much for inviting me to your workshop.
Thank you for inviting me here.
Now, just so you know, I actually went down to Plymouth to visit Mike's workshop and we did it as a roadshow episode, which is going to be out later in the week. But just as a little tease for you, here's a segment from it now. And of course, we're greeted by Mike Lane as well.
Hello, everyone. We've been working on the DeLorean for a long time now. There's a crazy amount of detail that's gone into this. Can you see the left-hand side is white and the...
Now this back dash is pretty amazing. Completely, once again, animated.
That's the remote.
Wow. That's an impressive build. This is my favourite podcast.
Yeah, I love this. Sound effects and theme tunes and all sorts of things on there. Lancia Stratos.
Wow.
No, thank you for
letting me come today.
Yeah, it's been brilliant.
And I've had an amazing time.
You're a natural at this.
That's why I'm here.
It's like you do this for a living. Yeah.
So, Mike, I've been down to your workshop. I've seen your setup. I've seen how you do things as well. But how did it all start for you?
So, I've been a graphic designer for 15 years, making website designs and branding and logos, bits and pieces like that. And that's where it all started. I've got a degree in graphic design.
Wow.
And for a long time, I was a creative director in a digital studio, designing things for clients and lots of advertising and marketing and things like that.
Okay, so now you've got a modelling hobby as well.
Yeah.
I can see the parallels that are coming in here.
Yeah,
okay. So when you started to build big scale models, what was the first one?
First model for me was the DeLorean. And that was the first part work that I built too.
Right, okay.
So I saw the DeLorean on TV and I just fell in love with it. And it was quite funny because I subscribed to it 3 times and cancelled it 3 times before I actually committed to the build because, you understand these things are a commitment.
Yeah.
And but I thought, let's go for it. And it was the first part work I built and just fell in love with it. And
so there obviously came a point when you're building that things must have frustrated you about the model or something, because obviously you started doing your own mods. And I think that's when I met you, when we started doing the DeLorean.
It was. I think it was around the time of the carpets that I made for the DeLorean or the license plates. So with these models, it's not so much about the frustration, it's more enhancing a model that's already...
But originally, when you first decided to do that, was you just doing that for yourself, or did you have in the back of your mind?
Yeah, it was for me.
That you wanted the audio?
No. It was never meant to be a venture.
Ah, okay.
So I made the barcode license plate for the DeLorean and shared it on Facebook.
Yeah.
because that was just one thing that model was missing. So you had the outer time plate with the stock build, but you never got the barcode license plate.
Right.
So that's where my enhancements kind of came in at the time.
Yeah.
But it was never meant to be a venture. It was just for me. And I shared that on Facebook, and then I had people requesting I make them for them. And I made 5, then I made another 10, and then so on and so on. It became hundreds of these plates in my garage.
God. So you were working at home at the time?
I was working at home.
Okay.
Still in a digital agency at the time as a designer, and doing this on the side just as a hobby.
So what point did it think, I could probably do this for a living, you know? When did that happen?
It was a good year of doing that at home on the side. Two full-time jobs at that point, pretty much, because I was doing that full-time at home. And the time for me was when I realised I'd outgrown my house. I was tripping over bubble wrap and boxes, and I thought maybe now is the time to make a decision on whether I do this full-time. And that was the moment I thought, let's just take a punt. It was a risk.
Yeah.
There's no guarantees, but I thought I'm just going to follow my heart with this and follow my passion. It's something that I loved doing. And I loved the graphic design job that I had before. Yeah. But like I said, I just wanted to get my hands on a bit more.
No, definitely. So when you went from the house, this is to the current workshop you're in at the moment. Is that right? Or?
So no, before then I built a workshop in my garden.
Right, okay.
So that I could move some of my packaging and things like that out of the house into the garden. And I outgrew that in 3 months.
Wow.
Which was then when I got the barn that you visited recently.
So when you got the barn, you had moved on from the DeLorean and there was other models that came onto the set.
Yeah, so I was working on a few at the time. And again, they were all personal models that I was just interested in and was enjoying building at the time.
Right.
So, the Ecto 1 came along just at the end of the DeLorean build, which I think we're all praying for. Yeah. So then a few more upgrades came for that. And yeah, it was around that sort of time that I thought, let's do this.
So with those upgrades you're talking about now, a new model's come along. Yeah. Did you think, this is what I want to see on the model, this is what I want to do? Or did you see flaws while you were building it?
It's literally just, I build it like everyone else, and I subscribe to these models just like everyone else does. I don't get any early access. And again, you can't really judge the model by the photos, because we all know that a lot of the time the photos are the prototypes. Yeah. So it's only really when you get these parts in your hand that you realise, okay, maybe, I could add this or add that and tweak this, tweak that. But I maintain you can kind of build these models stock and they still look pretty impressive. Yeah, well, but sometimes it's just the small touches and the details that
that's
really
what I was going to talk to you about, because some of the details you put on your models are like, I mean, they're tiny. There's things that I would overlook, I'll be honest with you. And then obviously when you throw in the fact that some of your models or some of your mods are electrics as well, and I know you've got Mike Sparky.
Mike,
he helps out. How did you meet Mike?
So I met Mike with Knight Rider. We were building Knight Rider, and Mike, just like myself, was a subscriber to the model. He was building it, and he made a prototype TV screen for kit, and he posted it on Facebook. Wow. And I reached out to Mike. I didn't know him before then. I reached out to Mike and said, hey, maybe we could work together on this. And he bit my arm off. And we've been really good friends ever since. We've got a great relationship going on there, and we're constantly bouncing ideas off each other. And it's great because a lot of the time I'll give Mike some kind of wish list of things to do, and he'll make it happen. Wow! But with the team together, I've got 3 people in the studio that can help make things and produce things, and I will design them, and then Mike will make the magic happen in terms of the electronics. So yeah, there's 2 mics behind.
That's
Mike
crazy.
Lane.
Yeah, I was going to say Mike Lane is the mic is the big thing. Yeah. So what are the challenges then of, especially with things like electrics, to actually fabricating something that will fit in a model?
Most of the time, it's just space. Right. In terms of, okay, we've got this model, where are we going to put our new electronics? Because a lot of the time there's screw posts in the way, or die cast bits and pieces in the way of where we want to put things. But more of a problem is the scale, in terms of scaling down the electronics that we need to put in that model. So Knight Rider's a great example of that.
Yeah.
Taking a TV screen that 1-to-1 scale is maybe this big, down to this big.
Right, yeah.
Is sometimes it feels impossible. And it's probably why not everyone does this.
Yeah, no, I can understand.
It's not an easy task.
So how much are you influenced by people saying they want this then?
Yeah, it's a mixed bag. It's 50-50. We've got there's 4 of us at any one time building these models.
Right.
And we all see things differently. We all see things ourselves that maybe we would like, but then we also get requests from customers too.
Right.
And that can be helpful for models we're not building because we're not subscribed to all of these.
Yeah.
So sometimes we'll get requests for, I don't know, like the Jeep, for instance. We've just made a power mod for the Jeep.
Wow.
And that was only made possible because a customer sent us the electronics for that model so that we could work on it. So it's 50-50. It's from myself, the team, and customers as well.
And also, as I said, your mods being so precise, has there ever been occasions where you've gone in to do a mod with full intentions that this is going to be well, and it's gone completely pear-shaped?
Yeah, all the time.
Yeah,
all the time. I've got a mic corner in the corner of the workshop, which is full of
the failures.
prototypes. The failures, the abandoned projects, and a lot of the time it can be lots of factors. It could be maybe it's not that easy to install. That might be a simple enough reason not to sell it.
Right.
Because it's just too difficult.
I know, yeah.
And it's easy to make one, but then to make hundreds at scale is again another challenge.
So how many different kinds of mods have you got at the moment? Have you got a stock count that you know of, or
what existing mods?
Yeah.
There are hundreds.
Really?
There are hundreds. Well, by the time you add them up with
And when did you go into you went full time in this business? 2018 was it, or?
Yes, that's when I formally formed the business in 18.
Wow.
It
That's
started in
impressive growth.
2016, just before Christmas technically.
Wow.
And so.
Okay, so all the models that you've built at the moment seem to have a theme around them. I know you're doing the cars and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But you like your Ecto one. You like your Knight
It's the
Rider.
hero cars.
It is the hero
It's the
cars.
hero
Your
cars.
Lotus Sprint. It's the iconic cars that you've seen in the 80s. Is there any model at the moment that is sort of like the holy grail that you're still waiting to come?
Yes, the 18 van.
Oh, okay.
I think everyone
Why
would
the
say
18
the
van?
same. Well, it's got so much character, and I think this is why people like the DeLorean and the Ecto One. They're more than cars; they are characters. It's what we remember growing up. I'm an 80s kid at the end of the day, and I remember the 18 van screeching around corners and people jumping out the back with machine guns, and these are the fond memories that you want to recreate in your adulthood, and just look at and enjoy.
Definitely. I think out of all of the models that people have said to me, Airwolf was always there, 18 van was always there as well. Some people say Blue Thunder as well. I don't know, it's all our era, but we were talking about this earlier, about this, that it seems like the 80s is a time where people watched things, but they didn't have the technology to actually make those models. Now they have, so we've revisited all of that, and that's why they're coming back now.
We're all big kids at the end of the day.
You say that, So with the mods that we've got now, if someone as a beginner is building a model, what sort of advice would you have for a beginner to actually install some of these mods?
Installing the mods, I would say don't worry too much about attacking the model. I mean, most of my mods, they don't require drilling into them or cutting away pieces. That most of them are retrofit or they're reversible. That's kind of our philosophy with our upgrades, is that, if you put them in or you change your mind or you've made a mistake, you can take them out again, and it's not going to damage or ruin the model in any way. I would say if you do have to drill into your model for any reason, do it in a place where maybe you can't see first. And just to feel just to build your confidence with the tools you're using and the techniques, because even glues, a simple thing like gluing can get messy if you're not careful. We tend to, for instance, with gluing parts, we always tend to put them in little tubs away from the model, not in front of the model, and just on a nice soft mat.
Well, you say that it's not just mods and add-ons. You do equipment as well to help you install these mods, because I saw things like the pixel mat. And, tell me about some of those.
So the pixel mat is coming to the website soon, and that came about because of this exact problem. I've learnt from my own mistakes. I've placed body panels, beautifully painted body panels on screws, and I've placed parts on glue without realising, because I've had glue on my workbench. So you learn from these mistakes, and the pixel mat has kind of been created to solve a lot of those problems. So for instance, the mat itself absorbs screws, so if you put your model on top of it, the screw will just get absorbed into the foam, and it's not going to scratch your model. Yeah. You can stand the model on its side or upside down or however way you want it without scratching the panels.
And you do tools as well?
Tools and screwdrivers, because I was inspired by your channel with this because I think we've all been there. When we first start these builds, we want to make sure we've got the right toolkit to hand and the best tools available. And I know when I first started, I scoured Amazon and eBay looking for screwdrivers and went through numerous kits, and they all broke and they were rubbish. They lasted 5 minutes, and I saw you using Vera tools at the time. And I didn't even know who they were at the time. I just recognised the green handles. Yeah. So I reached out to them eventually, and we've got this partnership going now where I'm an authorised seller of their tools. But it's just things like that make model building easier.
Yeah, definitely. So you did hint at it about your workshop. You've got 2 other members of staff?
Yep, full time.
You've got 2 very younger members of staff as well, Jamie and Jacob.
Yes, that's right.
How do they help you?
Well, they're probably my biggest advocates, but my biggest critics too. To be honest, the pixel mat was inspired by them. Okay. They're constantly like, Dad, do this. Why don't you do that? Dad, why do you? And the pixel mat went home quite a few times and on the dining table just for them to look at. Sometimes I'll just bring things home and I'll leave it there and wait for some criticism. But 9 times out of 10, it's really valuable. And what do they think of your workshop? Oh, it's home from home. Yeah, they love it. It's like a toy shop. Well, that's what I felt when I went in there. That's why I asked that. So. I'm obviously very proud of any suggestions they bring forward, because I kind of think, that's my boys. Yeah. But I love seeing their passion for these models. Like it's almost like seeing a mini me, really. Wow. When they're looking at the Ecto 1. Yeah. And they're just drooling over these models, and I don't know. You get a certain amount of pride from seeing it. Well, in the community at the moment, you are labelled the Doc Brown of modding things. Okay? I haven't got the hair for that. So, if you could time travel back to when you first started this venture and thinking about all the challenges that you've had along the way, what advice would you give yourself? Wow. So I think for me, I wish I got into 3D printing sooner. That was one thing. Yeah. Because that would have helped me a lot in the early days. I'm self-taught with the 3D modelling, but back in the day, I didn't know anything about 3D modelling or 3D printing, and you can imagine how difficult that was with prototyping mods and parts. I had someone 3D modelling for me at the time, which would take time. Then I'd have to send that off to get printed, which would take more time. And then if it was outsourced. And then this was just the 3D modelling. Yeah, I had no idea. 3D printing side of things, because I wasn't comfortable with that. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of the process of that would take weeks, and if it was wrong, you're back to square one again. So sometimes for a very simple part or a very simple mod, it could take months. So I thought, right, I've got to get myself trained up. Yeah. So that's really, really been a game changer. Yeah. Because I can create a part from it's in my head, and it can be in my hand an hour later. Wow. Because I've got my own printers. Yeah. So I think if I could whiz back, I'd be like, Mike, come on, get yourself sorted, get some 3D printers. That is amazing. It just helps to whiz along the prototyping. Excellent. Well, Mike, you have gave me a massive insight into the things that I've seen that I didn't ask at the time specifically because I wanted to ask you now. Yeah. But as I said, this is going to be up on the channel later in the week as the Roadshow episode where we visit Mike Lane. But I'm not finished with you, Mike, because we've got a segment on this show called In the Spotlight. Right. Now, behind us, we have some pictures on the wall, and we are going to be picking something that's going to go on the wall. Perfect.
Okay, so I've got my frame here ready for in the spotlight. Now, what this is, there's going to be a theme on here. Now, I haven't got a clue what this theme is. Okay, we're going to find this out together. Right. I'm guessing it's going to be 3 things. I could be wrong. And we're going to debate which one deserves to be on the wall. Okay. In a frame, ready to go. So I'm just going to gently put that down there, and we're going to find this out together, okay?
All right, let's do it.
So, this is films. Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark. Yeah. Favourite indie film, perhaps. I don't know, I like...
That is my favourite.
Oh, is it?
Film.
Okay. We've got Ghostbusters.
Okay.
Yeah. And we've got Top Gun.
Top Gun, yeah.
Is there any more? So it's 80s films. Okay. Here's my mentality first, okay? Yeah. I loved Raiders of the Lost Ark. Yeah. I didn't see Raiders of the Lost Ark until after The Last Crusade.
Okay, so I picked up watching them in order.
Yeah, I did. I picked up on Indiana Jones in Temple of Doom. I saw it in the cinema. That's why that is always my favourite, even though a lot of people say it's their worst. Okay, so but then I do love Indiana Jones.
I still have nightmares about Temple of Doom.
What? Molaram and yeah. Okay, Ghostbusters, always a place in my heart, I have to say, because I did see this at the cinema, and it scared the hell out of me, especially the first 5 minutes. Yeah. And Top Gun, I didn't see that until I was an adult. I didn't even see it in the 80s. So for me...
Same, actually, with that. Yeah.
So I think we can discount that one.
I think so. I mean, it's legendary.
It is. My brother was crazy about it. But for me, it didn't do it. So it's a toss-up between the indie franchise and the Ghostbusters franchise. So what do you think?
Well, I think everyone knows what I'm going to choose. But
why? Why would you choose it?
Ghostbusters. It's just...
What did you think of number 2?
Funnily enough, I mean, I only really recently watched number 2 as an adult.
Really? Okay.
I remember Ghostbusters 1
Yeah.
As a child watching that in the 80s. And I had all the toys. I had Ghostbusters wallpaper that glowed in the dark. I had slime that would glow in the dark when I went to bed. Everything, I was surrounded with Ghostbusters. I'll have to put some photos on my website, but I had a Ghostbusters t-shirt.
Well, I saw it when I was at your workshop, all the stuff you've got there.
And it's interesting with this, so the logo's the wrong way around, because that was in the States, wasn't it?
It was.
But I've got it. There's a special place in my heart for Ghostbusters, but I do love Indiana Jones as well.
So what would you pick?
I would pick Ghostbusters.
You pick Ghostbusters? Hands
down.
Okay, so the fact that out of all the films that came out for this, I can't just base it on one film, because I do think Last Crusade was better than Raiders of the Lost Ark. I think, and obviously there was a lot of sequels here which I didn't like. Yeah. But on the basis of just the individual films, I probably agree with you.
The first Ghostbusters film is a legendary film.
If anything, for the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, because that whole scene was so surreal.
And it's the first time we saw the Ecto-1 screeching out of the headquarters.
It was. So that's absolutely brilliant. Yeah. Well, Mike, you have solved the dilemma for me. Thank you so much for coming today.
Thank you for inviting me.
I really appreciate that.
I've really enjoyed it. Thank you very much.
Take care. So we've come to the segment now where I've got a rep from Agora Models. This is Tom. He's going to tell us about the latest news that has come onto the horizon, and we've got a big one.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Wayne. So we have finally selected our 6 finalists for the diorama competition at Scale Model World.
Wow, and I've got them here. So let's have a look through them.
Yes.
We've got, the first one is Christopher Christo.
Yeah, so once again, we've had to extend the pool of finalists to 6 from 3. So first up, it's Chris, who was the winner of last year's.
That was the Optimus Prime?
Yes, and we'll get some pictures up of that to refresh people with memories. But yeah, he's gone for a similar take with the shrubbery and trees as his Optimus Prime model, but with the LaFerrari. So it's going to be a scenic kind of landscape of a LaFerrari going through.
So he's going to sort of like mirror what we see here.
Yeah, so this is a kind of little image he's provided us of what he's thinking of.
That's a challenging build.
yeah, it is.
Okay, good luck, Christopher. Next one, we've got Craig Dillon.
Yes, Craig is going to do the Lotus Esprit from Spy Who Loves Me.
Okay.
So this is quite an ambitious one, this. So.
I know, I'm laughing, I'm just reading ahead. Oh
yes,
my God. So this guy's, let me get this right, he's going to be building the Lotus Esprit and encasing it in resin.
Yes, and I believe you have a few experiences with resin,
yeah,
right?
a few. And they're not all good.
Right, do tell.
Okay, so the obviously I built a diorama with on a Sprueverse challenge where we built Hooper in his cage from Jaws with the Jaws shark submerged in 35 kilograms of resin, which went completely wrong. We put it in a fish tank first. That was the wrong thing, which was glass. So even though it expanded, that wasn't the problem. Then it contracts. Glass pinging off, shrapnel everywhere. Had to put a blanket over it and couldn't go in the workshop for months.
Yeah.
So the resin, when you pour that much resin, it gets really hot. So you get layer lines. It was a disaster. So for the last 5 years, it's been a garden ornament because once again, it's 35 kilograms of resin. So I can't lift it.
Yeah, it's not light work.
But saying that, I think Craig is in for an easier time because resin has changed in those 5 years since I've done it.
Yes.
So it'll be interesting to see what he does. But I like this hint of blue and
How do you think he's going to approach having die-cast metal encased by resin? How do you go about that?
I don't think that's going to be his problem. I think the problem is going to be the air bubbles because you're going to get trapped air. So you need to pour it in such a way that you're not going to get that trapped air. Even though little bubbles will be perfect because it will give that effect that it's like sinking in the water. But I'm going to be watching this one with... because the technical difficulty, if there was a category for technical difficulty, this is the one.
And we're so interested to see how he does it that our crew are going to go up and have a little look and hopefully film it in the.
I want to see footage of that.
Yeah, it should be
I might
interesting.
get some pointers. Okay, so the next one we've got is the Meme Machine with Dean Marsh.
Yes, so this one, Dean submitted some photos of his previous models that he did with Darth Vader, where it was kind of half his mask and half his face. So he's quite talented with skin and kind of synthetic kind of skin material.
So he's putting skin over the T800 model?
Yes, so he's provided some images again here of kind of what he's thinking.
Oh, wow.
And he's going to take our Terminator model and have a half and half split, a bit like...
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, we've got a new leader for technical difficulty.
Yeah, I think if he can pull that off, that's going to
be amazing. Quite a big model
good.
as well, so it is going to be a lot of fabrication for that, I think.
Yes.
Okay.
And we've also been talking with the IPMS people who have also contributed to picking these final six, and this one was a particular favourite from them.
Oh, excellent. Okay, good luck, Dean. Next one we've got Racing is Life by Greg Locke.
Yes, the classic Le Mans race car.
This is the Porsche 912 KH.
Yeah, so I believe Greg is going to recreate a classic scene from Le Mans with the Porsche 917. I believe we have some photos as well that we can overlay for some more of his reference images. But yeah.
Now I've actually seen some of Greg Locke's previous work.
Oh yeah,
and it's really good, really good. Mm-hmm. But that one's cool.
Yeah.
Next one, First Day Out by Mark Ellis. This is the Corvette.
That is the Corvette in a kind of, is that like a
American diner? Yeah, that looks cool.
So I think this for me would be my favourite if he does it right.
Yeah.
Because it's the atmosphere and the vibe could be really cool. I think with kind of a retro Corvette with a
I like that.
Nice kind of environment.
The neons and the American diner. Yeah, that's going to be excellent.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see these. I cannot wait.
Yeah.
And we've got Can You Swim by Will again. Will did the DB5 last time.
2 years on the bounce.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what's he want to do? I'd like to recreate the Lotus launching from the jetty. This is the Lotus Esprit from James Bond.
Yeah.
About to enter the water. This would be an ambitious build as I would need to modify the model to have road wheel. Oh yeah, it doesn't have wheels, does it?
So this is, for those who don't know, Will's Workshop, who was the finalist last year as well. I watched his video recently explaining how he's going to go about this. And so yeah, he's building the Lotus Esprit and he's going to have it half in the water as it kind of comes off into and goes and delves into the water. So he's going to have kind of splashing water with half of it in resin, half of it not in resin. But obviously at that point it's got wheels on it.
Yeah.
So he is going to have to somehow modify the model to install some wheels on it. And as we know, the two cars in the movie are two different real life cars.
They are,
you can't retract the wheels and have the kind of fins come out. So it'll be interesting to see how he kind of.
Do you reckon he's using resin as well?
Well, I hope so.
There could be a theme.
Yeah.
Is that the ball? That's the ball.
Is the ball, yeah.
Well, That is going to be exciting, and all of those are going to finalise and be shown off at the Telford Model Show in November, beginning of November in the IPMS show. Very exciting. But
super exciting.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you for catching us up. I cannot wait for Telford this year, where we get to see what one of these dioramas is actually going to win. But if you want to see the extended Mike Lane workshop tour, that's going to be available on our Roadshow episode later in the week. Next week, we've got John Builds Iconic Military Models in the studio, so I'm looking forward to that. Until then, though, take care.